Hi guys, and in today's video I just want to bring you with me and share with you how we do history in our homeschool. I have shared with you already some of the books that we are using, and I have them located in here in this side of the wall are some of the books that we are using as well. I have a few of them on the shelf and on our 3-tier cart, but I want to just explain a little bit more how we are doing history. We are using 3 books currently besides our readers and the books, other materials that we are using for history. I have grabbed some books as well from the library, and I would like to share with you how I am incorporating and using all these materials for our history. I will see you then. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Emma. In here I like to talk anything that has to do with homeschool, sprinkle a little bit of motherhood and lifestyle here and there. Today I want to share with you how we do history in our homeschool. I share with you guys that I was using 3 programs, 3 books for history, and a specific more towards we're leaning towards America's history and history of the world, so we are using master books and a story of the world, but we are using other materials as well, and I would like to explain to you guys how I am incorporating all these books and how I am using our readers, just sharing with you how we are doing with our history programs. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to show you is that usually I have more history books here for our history program. Usually when we do and we take books from the library, I tend to accommodate them in here in this little space in here that you can see, because it's easy for us to grab. And I know already that after this little train, he is going to be finding those books for history that comes from the library, and we know not to confuse them with the ones that we have already. So they're in that corner, always there. I gathered some books from the library. Actually, I took 2 books from the library because most of the books that we're going to be using for history I have already. So I will be sharing how I am doing for incorporating all of these materials, all of these programs, and all of these books. I have as well in here our 3-tier cart because I have other materials in here that I use for history. I will be explaining to you guys, and I just want to just share with you, even though I have shared already what we are doing for read alouds and books that we're reading that we are using with our history program. I wanted to just take the time and explain little by little how we're using all these materials together. Okay, so let me just get you guys a little bit closer and get comfortable. If you have to grab some tea, coffee, or hot chocolate, this is the moment. The weather in here is not that good. It's a little bit cloudy. It's been raining quite a lot, and I just want to take the time and take advantage of the time that we have right now, the weather, and that I am able to create this video for you guys. Okay guys, so here I have some of the materials that we are using for our history. I have the Encyclopedia of History, and these I purchased at Ollie's. If you notice, we don't use everything inside this encyclopedia. I have already marked what we're going to be using from this encyclopedia. I just don't want to get you overwhelmed. I already explained to you guys that I was using Story of the World and Master Books. Those are our main programs, but I am using as well other books, and I will be sharing with you guys that. So I am using these encyclopedias. If you notice, I have them all in here. I have some books that I use for science, which is this one, but besides that, everything else is for history. So I have already marked what we're going to be taking out of each encyclopedia. I am not using everything. It depends if I see that will go well with what we're doing. If you notice in here, I just have marked this section of this encyclopedia, and let me just show you guys that. I think that has to do with the Vikings, yes, and I just marked that because we study the Vikings with our Story of the World as well with our America's Stories, which is from Master Book. In here as well, I have the Encyclopedia Kingfisher, and I am using this for Story of the World. In here I already have marked something, so you know that I am just not using the entire thing. That'll be obviously overwhelming. I am probably overwhelming you guys already because I am showing you different materials, but I just want to let you know that I am not using the entire book. I am just picking and choosing, depends on what we're doing with our America's Story or Story of the World. Those are the two main programs that we're using. And I have as well other materials that I am using. If you notice in here, I have more books and I will be showing you guys that. And I am using as well History Alive. I received some questions in regards History Alive. History Alive is a history curriculum. I am not using that completely. I just go through some of the material, some of the information that is there within the book, and I am pretty much using it for America's Story 1, which is from Master Book. That's the only time that I'm pretty much using History Alive with, and it's because it just add a little bit more of the information. It's because I am seeing the perspective from the other author on how he see that history happens. So that's very important if you want to compare as well when it comes to history, and you want to just get deep in depth with the information, especially for us that we really enjoy and love history. History is one of the subjects that we really take the time because we like it, because we love it, and it's a subject that we like to just gather more information, do our research, and just take the time when we are doing history. For some moms, history is not that important, and I understand that. I have in here as main subjects that we really like to just study more: reading, writing, math, but as well history is one that we really like to just gather more information, and we just go in depth when it comes to history. And if you're like us, then this video probably will help you as well on how to just incorporate different materials. Okay, so here I have America's Story. This is what we're mainly using. We are using as well Story of the World, which is this one here, from the fall of Rome to the rise of the Renaissance. I forgot that, but here I have the two of them. Sorry about the glare. What I do is I read the story to my kid, and let me just give you an example with here with America's Story. We go through these. We just read. I usually have him just look at these questions prior. These questions in here, and I will tell him I am going to be reading. I would like for you to be looking at these answers while I am reading as well. Be aware that these answers can come up. So I just let him give him in advance those questions if your kid has some problem with retaining the information or reading and comprehension, or they tend to forget easy. I think that's a good way to help them as well. I tell him in advance to be looking for vocabulary, and I will explain to you guys why in a second. But I just read, and I stop here where it says narration. And what I do is that where it says narration, I have for him this notebook from a School Nest. It's a history notebook. And I have him narrate verbally, retelling me the history verbally, what we just read. And then I have him just doing narration here in his history notebook. And that's how we just work with the program. We do narration just for America's Story. We're not doing narration for A Story of the World because we're using the activity book from A Story of the World. No, it is not overwhelming because I am not choosing all the activities. Obviously, we will not have the time. I work outside, so you will know that I will not be able to do all of that. But we work in that way with America's Story. So as soon as we get and we reach this part, I immediately put him to do narration. What I notice as well, that I see people having troubles when they are doing reviews about America's Story. One is the fact that the pictures are all the way in here. So what I do is we read, and if we have a moment where I see that it's going to be mentioned something in regards to TPs or whatever, I just stop whatever it is and jump here and start showing him what it says about the TPs, and then come back again to where we were reading. And it actually works very well like that. I liked it, and it's easy for him to understand because he's looking at the same time, and it's just easy for us to understand that in that way. So I have him just looking while I am reading. I have the book in a way that he can just look as well, because we just have one book. And after we do that, he does his narration. I have him as well doing his timeline. Sometimes I wait until it's Friday to do his timeline. It depends. If I don't want him to be doing one of the activities from the story, America's Story from Master Book, but usually we've been doing the activities too from America's Story, and I just pick and choose. I don't have him doing exactly everything, but I do have him just doing some of the materials that is in here. Example, like we have the drawings as well. I have him doing the maps, which is very important, answering some of the questions as well. And I just pick and choose. The timeline, we don't do it in here, and obviously the narration, we don't do it in here because we already have a book for narration, so that's very important as well. But some of the activities that they have in here for them to do, like the maps and some of the questions, I do have him answering. First of all, I am looking as well for his spelling when he's answering, if he's taking whatever he's learning from writing outside of the writing program, because that's something that you can see as well when you are using a curriculum or a program, that the kid knows how to do it with the program, but once they go out of the program, they don't know what to do. It's like they forget or they get confused. So what I do is I am having him doing all of these, because it's helping him as well with his writing, it's helping him as well with his spelling, because if you notice in here, he creates some of the mistakes, and while they were not a lot, it just lets me know that he needs a little bit more of practice when it comes to spelling. As well, in here with his history notebook, I just correct some of the words. I don't know if you guys can see because of the glare, but I corrected some in here. Let me see if you guys can see some of them, some of the spelling. And when he was forgetting to do capital letters at the beginning of his sentence, I just marked that in the same way that he will mark it with his grammar from Fixed Grammar or his writing from IW. So I just continue with the same, so he knows that he is supposed to take that out of the writing program and just continue with the rest of the things that he needs to be doing. That's the whole point, correct? So that's how I am using history. When it comes to adding books and materials, I just have some other materials in here. In here you can see this book. This is a poem from America. So we're using this book as well. It's not constantly, it's just I pick and choose, but it has beautiful images. I have shown this book before. I am not going to be doing a flip through the pages, but I just have some poetry in here that you can use as well if you're doing America's Story. As well, I have this one. This is my America. It's the Poetry Atlas of the United States. I have shown this book before in here. You can see it has some information about the states as well. In here I have Harriet Tubman, and these are some of the readers that we're going to be doing with America's Story, because I noticed that with America's Story the information that it has is the author just tells us history as a story, and it's simple, it's very concise, the information, which I like, because it's giving us the alternative to just add more of what we are really interested in. So I am having here Squantos, I have in here as well Encounter, and this is one of the readers that we are using, and I will be showing you guys as well History Alive, which is another one that we're using. Okay, so here I have History Alive. This is another one that we're using with America's Story 1. And if you notice, I am not using the entire book exactly as it comes literally. I am just picking and choosing what we want. And let me just give you an example here. So at the beginning, when we did the first chapter of America's Story, we just did routes of exploration to the New World because it was going very well with that. Actually, I think that was when we did chapter 2. And in here, I have as well the Declaration of Independence, just information that I would like at some point to just share with my kid because we are doing America's Story. So I would like the history of America, I should say. I have in here as well, let me just show you guys, Lewis and Clark Exploration. So what I am doing is just taking the information that will go very well with our America's Story 1. We are using a story of the world as a way to just see how everything was happening around the world at that same time. So we are continuing with the story of the world, and we're probably going to continue as long as we can, and we can finish the programs, just because I think that it goes very well. It's just give him an idea. I don't see that it's confusing him. I think that he's just it's just giving an overall idea of how things were happening while this was happening here in America. And we are continuing using the readers. I have used already some of the readers, which is what was the Age of Exploration. That's one of the readers that I use with my kid, that I am using right now because it goes very well with our America's Story. Let me just show you guys that. And sorry that I have so many books in here. But when we reach chapter 3, we start talking about Christopher Columbus and other European explorers. That's when I bring what was the Age of Exploration, because it was going very well with this chapter in particular. And I will continue using that book as well. I add for him this book that I found at the library, and it's just like a comic book. And it's talking about the history of Sacagawea. And I thought it was going to be really good for him. It has good images, very colorful, and it's comic style. I obviously will have to go first through the book and make sure that everything is okay, but this is one of the books that I got from the library. And the next one that I've got is more for me, because I am interested in knowing more information about the indigenous people. And I have this book is an Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. It's one of the books that I've been seeing a lot of moms recommending and just reading, and I would like to read it as well. I didn't want to go ahead and purchase first. I think if the library has it and is free, why not to use the resources that you have available to you? And second, I didn't want to purchase something if I was not sure that I was going to like. So I will go and read this one. I will start very soon with it, so I have it in here. And this is how we've been working with history. I've been adding all of these books. It's been working very well for us. It's just giving us an overall idea of how history and how different authors see history, in the different ways that they see history happening. They don't have obviously the same opinion. Some of the history differ, and I think giving him and bringing him that information of the differences and why these author think that this happened, or this book has this information in regards that same thing that we talk about with America's Story, or with the Story of the World, or with one of the books that we just read. I think it is important. It gives him an overall view of how I think that history changes too in the eye of the beholder. I think that obviously you're going to have different opinions when it comes to history. You're going to have different points of view. And I think that's very important when you're teaching history, is to know that everybody's going to have a different point of view. Everybody's going to just concentrate in a certain particular topic when it comes to history. And I think that's very important. And that's how we are using history. I just wanted to share with you how I am incorporating all of these materials. If you notice, it's quite a lot. It seems a lot, but once we're going through our programs and our books, you will know that it's not as it looks. As well, I am not using obviously all of the books the same day. I always choose a day, and depends on what we're reading and what we're doing for that particular day when it comes to history, is how we're going to be incorporating all these books and how we're going to be using all of these materials. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like, give me some thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you then. Bye bye.